welcome back to the Meeple Marathon. Today we're going to be taking a look at my top 5 board game apps. Now, similar to my top 20 of 2020 in 20 minutes list, these are not necessarily all apps that came out in 2020, but they are all ones that I highly enjoyed in 2020. A good many of them came out in 2020. But most importantly, they are all still available today. So if you like what you see here, please feel free to check out the full playthrough videos that I have on my channel, and then go check them out for yourself. So what am I looking for in a board game app? Well, I am looking for a true representation of the physical board game. Now, my number 5 is a little bit of a cheat, and you'll find out why here in just a second, but the rest of them I feel like are excellent representations of the physical board game, but with the reduced stress of there's no setup, and being able not having to run the automa, things like that, make these apps very nice to have and give you a nice change of pace from playing the physical versions of the board games. So without further ado, here are my top 5 board game apps of 2020. Number 5 for me is Kingdom Rush. Now, this is an app that I have had on my iPad for a very long time, and I have played through just about all of the iterations of Kingdom Rush. But with the release of Kingdom Rush Rift in Time, the physical board game by Lucky Duck Games, it was hard to not go back to the nostalgia that is Kingdom Rush, and easily, probably historically, this is my all-time favorite app. It's kind of cheating though, because this is not really an implementation of the board game, but now with there being a physical version of Kingdom Rush, and honestly, it's the first time I think I've ever seen an app turned into a board game. I could be wrong there, but I considered not putting this on the list, but as much as I turned around and played it, even having probably played through the original game here and the full campaign several times through, I still went through and played through the entire campaign. Played it a ton while I was playing Kingdom Rush Rift in Time, and it just works as an app in general. It's a tower defense game, and essentially you are building and upgrading your towers as you defeat enemies. You get coins for defeating enemies, and then you use those coins to upgrade your towers. There's specific spots where you can place these towers, and it's up to you to strategically figure out where to place them along the route to maximize efficiency. And then there's always the basic level, and then there's a level with about 6 or 7 elite waves, and then there's a level with one big elite wave where they usually take away some things, or certain towers you're not allowed to use, things like that. So it's almost like a puzzle, having to figure out how to best solve the puzzle. But again, if you are into tower defense style games, strategy games, go check out Kingdom Rush. It is well worth the price. You definitely will get your money's worth. And then go try out Kingdom Rush Rift in Time. But since this is not a true board game per se, implementation of a board game in app form, it slipped to number 5 for me. All right, coming in number 4 is Scythe. Now, this truly fits the bill of what most of you probably were looking for on this list. This is a implementation of the board game Scythe, and essentially all of the turn-based action selection, worker placement glory that Scythe is built into this app. It was released for the first time in 2020, so it's a relatively new app, and I think that they really hit the nail on the head with getting the app to work, or getting a board game to work in digital form. There's a lot of nice little extras too about the game, that you can have painted miniatures and meeples, or you can go with the standard classic plain ones. There's multiple versions of the board you can play with. One of the things I love about this game is that it does an excellent job of actually teaching you the game. I've never actually owned Scythe myself. It's a game that I always wanted to try. But I feel like now I could easily go and play the physical board game. So again, for the most part, other than Kingdom Rush, what I look for in a board game app is to essentially recreate that board game experience. There's some nice, fun animations added in that you wouldn't normally get with the in the actual board game. And what's nice about app form, and you'll see this in some of my other top 5 here coming up, is that you can play against an actual it's a person, but it's not the automa. I mean, it's not a person, but it's also not the automa deck. It is a computer controlled person, but they take actions the same as you do, and so it's more akin to playing against another person and not just the automa deck. So Scythe, which was already a very popular worker placement style action selection game, has been made even more accessible with this digital app. So if you've ever want to try out Scythe, I highly recommend you go pick up the app. All right, coming in at number 3, we have Lahavra. I really struggled with where to put this in position with Scythe. I really kind of considered them tied. Both of them were for games that I had never had the chance to play before. I think what gave Lahavra just the slight edge over Scythe was that I can get a game in faster. And Lahavra is not necessarily a quick game when you play it in the physical copy, but you can get through the digital copy pretty quickly. This is another game app that is older, but really shines well, I think. It still looks nice. It's nice and colorful. And I think what another reason why this kind of jumped ahead of Scythe is that the physical board game of Le Havre is very fiddly. There is a lot of pieces. Setup is very intense. There's a lot of cardboard, a lot of little chits and tokens and things like that. All of that is wiped out when you use the app. You are literally set up instantly and playing within seconds of choosing your color. Also, similar to Scythe, this gives you the ability to actually play against other people. You can play against one other person or 2 other people or 3 other people. And that's something you cannot do if you are just by yourself and have the physical copy of Le Havre. Le Havre is soloable, just like Scythe is, but instead of just playing against the kind of beat your own score automa, you actually feel like you're playing against someone. And I love just the kind of puzzly nature of having lots of different options of things you can do, and what are you going to go after, what are you going to build, what when do you take those offerings and things like that. It's just such a great little puzzle, and for the price that this app is, I highly recommend anyone who has ever been curious about Le Havre or this style game to check out this app. Highly recommend it. All right, coming in at number 2 is Street Masters, and this one easily could have been my number 1. I really did not become acquainted with Blacklist games until I backed Ultra Quest, which I received later in this year, but kind of mid-year, they came out with the app version of Street Masters, and at the time, Street Masters was not easy to come by. I was, didn't really have the money to purchase a copy that was being sold secondhand, so this gave me an excellent chance to try out the game for a very reasonable price, and I would have to say, I feel like everything is here, that this is as close as you can get to playing a board game and feeling like you're actually playing the game, but it actually being digital. The artwork is all there, it's all exactly the same, and it's fantastic. It pops. The boards and the movement around the boards and everything just works. The only thing you are missing is the 3-dimensional miniatures. But you know what else you are missing is having to control the AI, which I think is a super bonus, because this game literally plays exactly like the physical game plays. There is no computer making decisions for the AI. It is simply the rules of the AI and the program follows those rules to a T and moves the AI around for you. So you don't have to do the math of figuring out damage and things like that, and you just kind of let the AI do its thing. But this is a very addicting game. This whole modular deck system is a very fun way to play a miniatures game. This is like an arena-style combat, Street Fighter style game, and has just been very impressive implementation of a already very popular board game. And I've played the heck out of this game and hope to actually play the physical version someday. I think that being able to play the digital version helped get me interested in the physical copy. And coming in at number 1 is Cartographers. This is a game that early on in 2020, I picked up the physical version of Cartographers and really loved it. And it was actually a game saver for my gaming group when the pandemic first started, because we played this game a lot over Zoom. It was very easy for me to send them just the PDF version of the maps, and then I would just, with one of my webcams, show them the cards I was flipping over. We had a great time playing it. I briefly touched on this game. It was one of my honorable mentions for top 20 games of the year. And I think part of the reason why the physical game didn't make my top 20 is because as soon as the app came out, I kind of forgot about the physical copy and just played so much Cartographers on my phone, especially. It's one of those apps that really kind of works well on your phone, mostly because it's vertical oriented. You can play it on your iPad too, and it's just a larger version, but it doesn't rotate if you turn your iPad into landscape mode. So this is, out of all the apps here, easily the most portable, the one I can pick up and play. It's the fastest to play. It's the one I can most easily pick up, play a few rounds, put it back in my pocket. I can play this standing in line at the grocery store. I can play this while I'm sitting at the stoplight in the car. It really doesn't matter. And it is such a beautiful rendition of the physical board game. The artwork is all there, and just the fact that it also kind of keeps you from cheating, not cheating, but making, oops mistakes that some people could contrive as cheating. It doesn't allow you to forget that you need to put your most recent build on the Ruins Temple, for example. It throws all of your options out there, and if you can't fit something somewhere, it won't let you put it there, which is nice. It makes you play by the rules. It also has a little bit of competition. You can play against other people with a very specific set of cards. I have not been able to try like the head-to-head or anything like that. I don't think there is that, but again, it doesn't matter. This game is great for solo, and this is great, just a great little app to always have around. It's not very expensive, and just to play through it, it never gets old, just sitting in your hand, sitting at a stoplight or in line somewhere. So Cartographers, simply by the pure fact of how much I have played this game, is my number 1 app of 2020. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Once again, thanks for watching.